I would like to present our guest speakers this morning, and I am proud to say that they are Creative Living Fellowship's spiritual life coaches and ministers. Each one will introduce himself or herself to you, but I ask you now to welcome them as we usually do with that good old CLF gusto. So please rub your hands together and get them really energized. Then hold your hands out and repeat after me. Spiritual life coaches and ministers. We open our hearts and our minds to receive your wisdom. We bless you and the good you bring to this world. We thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing your light with us today. All right. Oh, thank you.
Am I on? There we go. Good morning. I'm Claudia Hartman. I'm a spiritual life apprentice here at Creative Living Fellowship, where it is our intention to open hearts and incubate dreams. And in honor of Valentine's month, February, our theme is the heart of the matter. And we're going to talk about love. And there's a lot of focus this month on romantic love, which can bring up mixed emotions for many people, from sadness to euphoria. Some of us may even have negative connotations or wounds around romantic love, relationships that have left us brokenhearted or lost. But the purpose of my talk is to share my own love story that has brought me from grief to God. Behind me is a picture of my mother as she's immigrating from Germany to the United States when she was only 23. She settled in upstate New York and met my father. And when I was only 16, I was at a summer camp, and I got the news that she had died unexpectedly. On the driveway back home to New York, I remember starting a conversation with God in earnest, because I knew in my heart there was a higher purpose to her loss for me and my family. I didn't have the answers in that moment, but it did mark a true beginning of my spiritual journey. Fast forward to 1999. And my dad is in hospice dying of cancer. And I get the call from Nancy, my wonderful second mom, who's here actually today, to come home. I pray the whole flight back to New York. Please, God, give me a chance to complete with him, to share some tender moments with him, which I was able to do. And I was there when my dad took his last breath a few days before Christmas. A few months after my father's death, my husband Oliver was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. He had just turned 39. His cancer journey took us to Mexico, LA, Phoenix, and back again. Where we went together and with my community was intense, profound, and filled with grace. I would often go within and ask for direction to get divine guidance. Oliver died peacefully at home a few months after his 40th birthday. I share my personal story with you today, not for sympathy, but to highlight some key things that I learned from experiencing great loss early in life. Loss is something we all will experience, whether it is a spouse, a parent, a relationship, a job. It is a common experience that often will bring us to our knees and make us look higher. How we respond to our loss and growing grief is essential. My grief led me to God. More and more I turned inward to that still voice within. I began to realize that nothing is permanent in this life except my relationship to the divine. I longed for a deeper connection, which ultimately led me to find my spiritual home here at Creative Living in 2010. Over the past 6 years, I've studied the teachings that has opened up my sacred heart. So here are 5 keys to opening your sacred heart. Be resilient, meaning have the ability within yourself to recover and bounce back from unexpected change, loss, or setback. I like what Greg Braden said. Resilience shows up in the way we think and in the way we live. Resolve. Stay open to life, even through the pain. Love will come in from new, unexpected places and people if you allow it. For example, I asked Spirit to bring me a younger man with nice hair, nice teeth, and a nice disposition, and he brought me Mr. Cooper, my dog. And my wonderful second mom, too. Reveal. Risk to share what you're really feeling in the moment and speak your truth. This requires transparency and vulnerability. Remember who and whose you are, for you are love. And revere. Love your God and restore wholeness through regular conscious connection to Spirit. So here's my invitation. If you're willing, close your eyes. Take a breath. And think of a time when your heart broke open and you felt the light of the divine pour in. Not just the human heart, the sacred heart. Now become aware of others sitting next to you and in the rows around you, and deeply feel into our shared humanity around loss and love. Remember this truth. I am love expressing uniquely as me, and you are love expressing as you. This sacred love is what makes us whole. This love is the creative power of the universe and the essence of life itself. It is this love that causes the heart to break open. This, my friends, is the heart of the matter. And Rumi said, you have to keep breaking your heart open until it opens. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Connie Hummy. I'm a spiritual life coach apprentice as well. And since it's Super Bowl Sunday, I really feel connected because I like football. So when I came up with my talk, I meditated and I looked out my window and saw my favorite roadrunner, Chacha Muldowney, who lives on our property. And that just gave me my calling of what I felt I should do. I feel divine love when I pray, when I meditate, when I do a spiritual mind treatment. I feel the love every morning when I wake up and a cup of coffee is waiting for me. The divine love connection is ever present, and it flows in many ways. As I deepen my spiritual practices, I connect in even more expanded ways, and I even notice the smallest of things. There are times my intuition guides me just to say a kind word to someone, just to brighten their day. A complete stranger, I just feel called to do it because I pay attention to my inner voice. I am connected as I set the tone for each and every day. I trust in the process. I feel connected when I am snorkeling, as I deepen my connection in the silence under the surface. I have also learned to deepen and go to the silence within, above the surface. I have met and communicated with many who do not speak my human language, but we all speak the language of love. From swimming with beluga whales to rescuing a praying mantis. I feel connected when you listen to me speak. I know you feel it comes from my heart, from authenticity, and I am grateful. I am divinely connected every time I hear from or visit with a family member, treasured friends, and say hi to someone I don't even know. I like to make friends. I feel love when someone allows me to make them my random act of kindness for the day. It can be helping a stranger with their groceries, and I thank them for letting me make them my random act of kindness. I have a connection when I come into this building. The faces, of all who come to share spiritual time. Some faces new, bringing new energy. High watch. I feel the consciousness of this room raise, illuminate, and expands into the ethers all the love, the power. And during my time of high watch, the greeting, what I hear is love, love, love. I just hear that word over and over in the sounds, and it makes the room even bigger and expands more for me. When I have the opportunity to give the meditation, I meditate, I do a spiritual mind treatment, and allow Spirit to guide my heart and my words. I feel a spiritual connection and live divine love every day that I can say I love you to Charlie, my husband, my soulmate. A spiritual mind treatment years ago brought us together, and I had known him since I was 9. And I released, and I let go, and I let the process take its place. And I was really shocked when it was he who called me. I feel divine love as I cheer on my favorite football team on a winning touchdown. Ordinarily, it's the Broncos. Today, it's Go Falcons. Celebrating a baby, celebrating life in all its forms, all beings, all things, every form of life. Thank you for opening your hearts and listening to mine.
Yeah, get back to that bunch of hieroglyphics. Every group of people has a vocabulary for their particular situation. The Inuit have numerous words for snow. The Trobriand Islanders can describe breadfruit or taro root using many specialized words. And us? Just think of how many words we use for cars. SUV, coupe, truck, crossover, 4, 6, 8 cylinders, and on and on. The ancient Greeks had 4 distinct words for love, which are up here, if you happen to read Greek. They are agape, eros, philia, and storge, which is maybe something we could use. There is, it seems to me, a lot of difference between I love ice cream, I love Phoenix in the summer, and this church is filled with love. Same word, but vastly different meanings. So maybe we could borrow some ideas from the Greeks. I love this church, and all it stands for would be agape. The Greeks had more than a few gods, and this love was for them and all things sacred or of divine origin. Reverend Michael Beckworth named his church center Agape, a place for the love of spirit and all things divine. The Greeks all considered this to be the highest form of love. I can understand that. For 23 years, this church has been a large and important chunk of my life. I'm in love with that woman would be a use of eros or passionate love. And interestingly, the Greeks were a bit afraid of this type of love because they felt people could go overboard or out of control in pursuit of eros. Of course, this love could be directed toward the opposite sex or your own sex. It was passionate, physical love. If you've read the Greek myths, you may understand their fearing of this type of emotion. Lots of mortals and gods were ensnared by passion. In fact, it seems like it was a major preoccupation of the gods. Yes, been there too. Although I feel a little like the Greeks in assessing a bit of danger here. Some of the best and worst times of my life involved eros. There's a subtype we call platonic love, or affection between folks of opposite sex, but without the sex. Certainly a lot safer. I have felt and still enjoy philia, or the love of friends. Dave Gentry, my fraternity brother, best man, and still constant friend. We met about 50 years ago. And there is Denny Coyle, my personal leprechaun. When we meet every 3 or 4 years, it's like continuing the same conversation. Storge or an empathy bond, love or affection, especially family and children. My daughter Jenny fits this easily. She certainly owns a large chunk of my heart. It is possible to dream up other varieties. In fact, some scholars come up with as many as 7 different types that the Greeks recognized. I think they have left out one major one, which is probably love of critters. I know I have an old hound dog who is getting ready to meet her maker at this point, and certainly a large chunk of my heart is tied to that. Perhaps like so many other things, it's there, but we just don't see it all. If, as I suspect, love is universal and part of God's consciousness, then we may be missing nuances that would only apply to entities from another galaxy whose understanding is both different and greater than ours. However we slice it, dice it, or define it, love is an enormous part of life, and maybe the best. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Cindy Fairmont, and I am a spiritual life coach and the congregant care minister here. So, wait, I have to get to my slide. Okay, now. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said on page 184 of the Science of Mind textbook, always expect the good, have enthusiasm, and above all, have a consciousness of love, a radiant feeling flowing through your consciousness. So how do I, as a spiritual life coach and as a congregant care minister or a class assistant, how do I download divine love so I can pass that on to where I serve? So I use what I call love gurus. These are mine. These little beings run to me the minute I walk in the door with hugs and kisses, and they don't care where I've been or where I'm going. They are just so present in the now moment and so happy to see me. And this is the closest that I've ever come to unconditional love, except maybe with my cat, Mandy. I do have to give a shout out to her because I forgot her first service when I think she heard about it. So, and I only have one cat, just to let you guys know that. So, a love guru can be an animal, or it can be a place, maybe a place in nature where you go and you just feel that sacredness of God. So that too can be where you can fill up, and nature can be your love guru. And here's an important one available to you at this church, and that is our spiritual life coaches. We can be your love guru. So if you need some love today, please stay and get some love for us, because it's our honor to pass that divine love on to you. So our world needs our love more than ever. So I have 3 easy steps for you. Step 1, locate your love guru, or gurus, whatever they may be. Step 2, soak up that love. Take 5 minutes out of your day to soak up that love. And step 3, pass that love on. So my question to you today is, when do you feel that divine love, and how can you pass it on in your daily lives? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Laura Jesmer, and I'm one of the spiritual life coaches here at CLF. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about an experience of love for me. On a very hot July night in 2009, God's love entered my life in an unexpected, deep, and sweet way. This divine love was in the form of a 30-pound, big brown-eyed Australian cattle dog who instantly became one of the true loves of my life. Her name is Emerson. Over time, she has assumed nicknames such as Emmerdoodle, Emmerdoodle Head, the Divine Miss M, Miss Do, just to name a few. She showed up at the right and perfect time in my life, as this is how God works. You see, my sweet beloved Maggie May, a Jack Russell Australian cattle dog mix, who was a 30-pound white with black specks dog, had made her transition in 2008. I felt such sadness and loss as we humans do when we lose a loved one. I allowed myself the time and space to grieve for Maggie. I also knew that one day, when I was ready, that the right dog would come into my life. So, when I received the call from a dear friend that had found a stray dog and needed help, my friend already had 5 dogs at home, I drove up to see how I could support her. Oh, it's up there. Bam. So there's my baby. So I walked up to the dog and first saw her from behind. It was as if Maggie was standing there. Here was a white dog with black speckles, same height as Maggie, an Australian cattle dog. I nearly lost my breath for a moment. The dog, Emerson, had been sent from God and from Maggie to come into my life so that I may open even more deeply to love. This I am sure of. I feel God's love each and every day with Emerson. When she greets me each morning with a wagging tail, when she excitedly jumps and barks and comes running to me when I come home from work, when she is lying on the sofa curled up in a little ball of adorableness, my heart fills with so much love it is so hard to even describe. We have enjoyed many adventures together. We hike many trails, run and play in the yard, explore different neighborhoods. She has won ribbons in the sport of barn hunt. We have traveled across the country together. Best of all, she likes to snuggle, keeping my feet warm in bed during the winter. Anthony Douglas Williams, the author of Inside the Divine Pattern, wrote, "When I look into the eyes of an animal, I do not see an animal. I see a living being. I see a friend. I feel a soul." When I look into Emerson's eyes, her big, brown, soulful eyes, I know and I feel the presence of God. The love that I have experienced because of Emerson's presence in my life has deepened my own understanding of God, and I am blessed to share this love, God in expression, when I pray with others as a spiritual life coach. Emerson and I have a love-filled connection. Divine Spirit flows through both of us, between us and all around us. This sweet, sentient being is an expression, and I'm filled with gratitude and joy that God has showed up in my life as Emerson. Love really is the truth of each one of us. So I ask you, how do you experience and share divine love in your life? Thank you.
Bam! The semi-truck didn't see the new light at 16th Street in Coulter, and my sister and I were involved in a car accident in a 4-car pileup. I was looking over my shoulder and knew that this was serious. I broke my jaw, injured 7 vertebrae, and certainly had pain. We were en route to the hospital to meet with the doctor who was performing lung and heart surgery on my mother. We arrived on the first floor with My mother on the 4th floor. Wow, what a wake-up call. You know, we've all had the wake-up call moments in our lives, and what I have discovered that some of the most difficult ones are the best growth experiences of my life. I woke up for the first time. I woke up for the first time 63 years ago in Schenectady, New York, and I was the youngest of 3 daughters. My dad was with General Electric, and my 2 older sisters were dynamos. We moved from New York to Los Angeles to Phoenix, up to San Francisco, and then finally ended up in Phoenix. My dad thought Phoenix was a much better place to raise 3 daughters than Haight-Ashbury in the 60s. My grandmother was a harpist with the Los Angeles Symphony, and she later went with Walt Disney, and she played the harp in the movie Fantasia. She was a very well-known harpist, and we all 3 had no option but to play the harp. At the time, playing the harp at the Central High School marching band was not one of my big hits, and I was really embarrassed most of the time. But I am so glad that my parents insisted that I play the harp. I had graduated from U of A with mathematics and music as a double major, and I then got an MBA with a systems engineering focus because my dad really encouraged me to get into the technical field. I was hired by IBM in Phoenix as the first woman in marketing for data processing. And then after 15 years with IBM, at the pinnacle of my career in 1991, I had my major wake-up call with that semi-truck. I was supposed to be at a recognition event for IBM, not in the hospital. Money, career advancement, and recognition was not where it was at, and particularly contributing to IBM's bottom line. But I wish I didn't have to be hit by a semi-truck to wake up. Our mother ended up dying during that difficult time, and I had entered a broken healthcare system with severe injuries. This was my call to healthcare ministry. I received a master's in divinity from Claremont School of Theology and was hired and ordained and at Hospice of the Valley and started a program in integrative medicine, playing the harp for patients at the end of life. I was here at CLF when my sister and I started taking classes together 5 years ago. I had another major wake-up call 25 years later when my sister, oldest sister, at 66 years old, went through her second bout of pancreatic cancer. This church last year showed me what divine love and faith and spiritual growth was all about. Part of our training as spiritual life coaches was to present workshops. I designed mine to help persons suffering from grief. We had an amazing celebration of life. We started looking for ways to live life to the fullest, aging into health, and we started focusing on gratitude and love. My husband and I downsized. Now we're taking a lot more time for ourselves, traveling, finding more joy, moving into a transitional time with both our business and the Therapeutic Harp Foundation. Both our kids have recently gotten married to wonderful partners. We're awaiting grandchildren. Our spirits are truly awakening to the beauty and the feel of life. We are creating our own life experiences exactly as we want to because we understand that all life circumstances are invited into life experience by us. And we choose to focus on the loving part of life. I can see now that these wake-up calls of the past were divinely timed. Has it been fun? Certainly not. Pain is never really fun. Has it been useful? Absolutely. Remember Michelle's wonderful message and quote from Mark Nepo's book of Awakening last month? We are often called further into experience than we'd like to go. But if we take that extra leap, that lands us into the vibrant center of what it means to be alive. What you learn here every week through this community, spiritual truths and universal principles show us how to live a good life. Understanding unconditional love, joy, spirit-filled, divinely timed. Are you being called right now into an experience that you might like to go? If so, I invite you to stay awake in the middle of it. Wake up. Because when you do, the beauty, the wonder, the awe of an awakened life can truly wake you up. Are you awake?
I'm Tara Brown. I'm one of your spiritual life coaches. For me, there have been many points in my life where I've had moments where I woke up into a greater awareness of the love of God in my life. But I'll talk today about children and parenting. So I was pregnant with twin girls, and let me tell you, when you're pregnant with twins, this is how you walk. I was told that I had a 25% chance of getting pregnant in the first place. We had one medical treatment, and I was blessed with a 200% outcome. The first little lights we had an ultrasound, and there were 3 little lights. I was scared to death it was triplets. And I couldn't believe the beauty of the glow of the light on the ultrasound. I was told that I was a high-risk pregnancy, and that because of a fibroid tumor that I had, I would be like I was carrying triplets. At 24 weeks and 2 days, I went actually on strict bed rest. And for the rest of my pregnancy, my job was to stay pregnant. And so how that woke me up was that I actually visualized every morning giving my uterus to God. Because all I could do was eat and drink and rest, and I had to let everything else go. I carried 2 term for twins, 37 weeks and 2 days, and we had a beautiful C-section birth as planned, and they were healthy and well. And when I first met them, I was astonished that these 2 beings came out of me. Because what I learned when I was pregnant was if my conscious mind had to have been responsible for all the decisions required to grow 2 beings, I would have failed. But I wasn't. But there was something that was far greater than me that was working through me and as me through that pregnancy. And that was bringing life into the world. You may never have been pregnant, but I am sure that there's times when your body has done miraculous things, some sort of healing, that you didn't have conscious and deliberate control over. And that moment, I'm seeing heads nod, is an awakening and an awareness to that which is existing through you as you now, working through your physical form. The love of God is always with us because it is us. The only separation from that is when we forget. Having 2 amazing beings in my life, and there's much growth as a parent, I had a friend say to me, Tara, you're going to be surprised how much your heart grows. I had no idea how much love I could give to 2 beings. And every time I thought that I was being stretched, I could give more. It was never my love. It was love coming through me to be given. So if I have one suggestion, one offering to you, to increase the flow of love in your life, give love wherever you can. Because it is by giving that we remember that we have. I learned a deep and profound lesson from A Course in Miracles, that as humans, we only know that we have something when we give it away. So wherever you feel a lack of love, just give it. And you'll wake up to the fact that it's already there with you. Thank you. And to close us in prayer, if you're comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and let it go. There is only one love. There is only God. There is one mind, one power, one presence. That is the presence of love. Love is that thinking substance from which all is formed. I exist in that love. I exist in that thinking substance. I exist in the one. And as I do, so is everyone here in the sound of my voice. And I, Tara, now speak my word into the law to bring into our experience that which is for our highest good, knowing that today we have all had a profound deepening into the understanding of love, and that each of us has received that for which we had need, known and unknown, and that as the light of love shines through us and as us, our entire being is filled. And as we move forward in life, every being that we touch is filled by that divine love flowing through us and into the world. And as we are a nucleus of love, love shines through the world. And I am so deeply, deeply grateful that this is so. And I release these words into the law that can only say yes, knowing that as I do so, it is done. Thank you, and so it is.